Hello everyone out there and welcome to The High Road. Today, I'm your commentator, Noel C. Blundell, and I'm here with Remy Blundell. How are you, Rem?
I'm good, I'm back.
You are back, mate. You've been dearly missed. Where you been?
I've been up in far north Queensland and I'm back tanned as ever.
And
a red face from being sunburned.
okay, how was it?
Fantastic, actually.
And what were some of the activities you got up to?
Well, we actually did a lot. We did surfing, went to One World, we went to Dream World or something, and then it was a big road trip. We did a lot of miles, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, and mainly just it was a relaxing one, but we did a lot of dinners and all that. I'm actually struggling trying to remember how much we did. It was like a long time up there.
That usually happens when you have a lot of change of scenery. There's a lot to take in.
Yeah, we went everywhere.
So just
went a long way.
describe for a second. Okay, so you left Gippsland. Where'd you go?
Left Gippsland, went to Brisbane.
Yep.
And then road trip back down to Melbourne pretty much.
Yeah, but where'd you stop on the way? You didn't go to fly to Brisbane, get in the car and drive home again, did you?
No, I went to Port Macquarie.
Right.
And then we went from Port to Brisbane.
Yep.
I know, went to Port, the Gold Coast, then to Brisbane.
Yep.
And then we went a bit further up north to a place called Caloundra.
Oh, yes, nice.
And then we travelled back to Port and then back home.
Oh, that's great. That sounds like a great trip.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So you didn't do it in one hit. You did little in sort of like hops.
Yes.
Did you see a bit of the countryside, mate?
Heaps of it.
Do you reckon it changes as you go through states?
Not an insane amount, but there are forests and stuff, and there's a big country here.
Yeah, it is
a lot of country out there.
There is a lot of country out there. Now, what was the most significant change
Of terrain?
Well, so your environment. Because I'm thinking weather.
Yeah, weather was a huge one.
Was it?
Yeah. I come back after wear tracky dacks now and then
Oh.
some shorts and singlet up there. So
Welcome back to Mexico, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, the challenges of life, I guess. Weather changes.
Never mind. That's say la vie. Never mind, mate. But I'm glad you're back.
Yep, so it's good to be back.
It's hard to have a one-side conversation on the podcast, you know.
Yeah, I don't doubt.
Although, whilst you were away, we had some wonderful speakers who come in and we had a chat about lots of different things, which was really, really good. And I hope all you listeners out there enjoyed that because we're going to get a whole range of other people in to have a chat about interesting topics. And we've also invited back those people we have interviewed and sat with on the high road, and they're very eager to come back and have another chat.
I listened to a couple of them. Fantastic guests.
Yes,
and well
absolutely.
done for doing that. It was really good listening to them talk, and I got a lot out of it. So stay tuned, and we'll definitely have more guests on.
Absolutely, that's coming up. That's coming up shortly. That's in our future at the high road.
Yep.
Now, mate, I wanted to have a bit of a chat to you about yesterday, Tuesday, the 26th of March, 2024.
It was a big date, wasn't it?
It was a big Blundell day, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did it. We graduated.
We did graduate, didn't we? And what did we graduate with?
Bachelor of Psychological Science honours.
Yes.
We were 2 of the 3 that graduated yesterday.
That's correct.
So,
there was that's right. And there was 6 of us from the discipline of psychology, and there was 3 undergraduates who finished their bachelor, and there was 3 of us who had completed their bachelor with honours.
Yep.
Yeah. Congratulations, mate. You did wear it very well.
Too, thank you. We put a lot of hours into it. So.
There was a few hours went into that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
It was a bit of a goal, and that's going to underpin our discussion today on resilience. But just back to the yesterday with the big day. Let's unpack that a little bit for people. They probably want to know what happened. So we got there, and we were trying to get there early. So we got there about just after 1:30.
Yep.
Ceremony didn't start until 3. And so there was a big crowd in the student lounge at the Federation campus, Federation University Australia, Churchill campus in Gippsland.
It's massive.
Yes, it is massive. And we got out there, and there was a big group in student lounge, and we pulled up at the in the line. And what happened then?
We put our gowns on and our hat. We got all sorted.
Yeah, that's
felt pretty
right.
good wearing such a big gown.
But there was people come out and actually dressed us.
Yeah.
That was a bit weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it on my own.
But I was no. Well, it was interesting. Obviously, there's an etiquette to the gowns and how you dress them, what goes on, isn't it? You know?
Yes.
And
because did the person who helped you put on your gown and your colour, what's it called?
It was like the sash. It's like
sash.
And our colour for our discipline in psychology or health and wellbeing was magenta.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the person that helped you put on your slash, let's just call it that, sash, sorry, told you about how it works. So it's the colour represents your field of study, and
correct.
The style of how it sits over your shoulders represents your level of study.
Yes,
so that's why they had to dress us.
That's right. Yes, yes, I didn't realise that either.
Yeah,
that's why they had the dresses. That's right. But our dress was different to the undergraduates.
Yes,
because we're now postgraduates.
Yes, we are now. Yep.
And it had to be done, and it was very meticulously put on us, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then we were gifted with the graduation cap.
Yeah, which was very good actually, because some universities don't let you keep anything.
Yes, so we were lucky enough to be able to take that away with us, and which was really, really good.
I got a lot out of the day. It was really, really good to see us go through the actual ceremony.
Did you know? Go through the actual ceremony. Oh yeah, it was great. Did you know the hat? Right, it's actually called a mortarboard hat.
Really?
Yes.
Did not know that.
In the olden days, I think it is because this dress is a tradition that stems back to the start of academic education. I think with Harvard, and I think we're talking around about the 1700s. It's quite a way back. Oh
wow!
Yep.
Okay.
And the square hat with the tassel on it was actually I'm led to believe, with some of the studies I've done it, a mortarboard, where someone who's laying bricks and lays mortar has a flat board with a pole on it, and they put mortar, like concrete and mortar, on top, and they trowel it into between bricks and trowel it to make something, to construct something. So I think the mortarboard hat is a symbolic representation of you utilising your education and going out into the world and building something. Of course, wearing a mortarboard on your head, where you go to university to increase your knowledge, where your knowledge is stored in your head. So the mortarboard is on top of your head to build the future.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yes.
And no one called it that at the ceremony.
No,
they referred to it as hat.
That's right. HAT.
Yeah.
And what did they refer to the tassel as?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
No, I can't remember what it is either. There was a word for it. Remember on the back of the documentation we had to hand in before we went up on stage?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Anyway, it was a really big gala event, wasn't it? Very well organised, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And had to sit in your appropriate seats, and then made sure that you were checked off before you got up on stage twice. So therefore you didn't walk off with someone else's degree.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, we all had to get up in line, and they checked us twice and took this ticket off us and all that stuff.
That's right. And we got up, and then we met the Vice Grand Chancellor of Federation University.
Yeah.
Who awarded us with our documentation, congratulated us for achieving our goals before our peers and before our professors. Is that not right?
Yes. It was good to see some of our previous lecturers and professors.
It was fantastic to see them there. And I think they were very happy and proud that we'd actually made it.
Yes.
Right through to fruition.
That's right.
Achieved the goal we set out to achieve. I was thinking that last night, mate, at the dinner we had afterwards, which was wonderful. All the family attended, and I was just thinking that I wonder how many people they lose on that journey. How many people pack up and leave? I was speaking to the professors about university education, and they suggested that it was around about 15% of people give up per semester.
Wow.
Now, you remember when we started, how many people we were having class sizes of 22 and 25.
Yeah, we were.
And in the end, at honours, how many was sitting in the research methods class with Professor Gary?
just us.
Me and you.
Yeah. Well, we were the only ones from our cohort out of the whole year that did full time.
Yes, and we didn't recognise anyone in the graduation ceremony yesterday from our cohort.
Yeah. It was a tough course, though. People got their lives going on and stuff, so it was good that, that people are still giving it a go, but it was even better that I got to do it with you, Dad.
Oh, mate,
And
100%. That was the best. That was one of the absolute wonderful highlights of doing it with you.
Yeah, and I don't think lecturers really see that often as a son and a father that go through university together, because we've known them for 5 years now.
Yes, we have, and we've built really deep and meaningful relationships with them.
Yeah.
We can have discussions and approach them at any time. They're actually, I consider our professors who we worked with throughout our course to be part of my network of confidence to speak to on issues that come up.
Yep.
Really, particularly around academic issues. They'd be the first point of call I'd speak to. Not that I want to annoy them because they've got their own lives, of course, but certainly. And I dare say, on the journey going forward, as we get our mortarboards out and build something, we'll be talking to them in one way, shape or form. Yeah? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to lose the contact there
at
all. They're very valuable people.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
And so intelligent.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Very, very smart. It's
amazing.
Admirable, actually.
Amazing, the intelligence of the staff and the professors that we work with.
Yeah.
They're just amazing. And on a broad and varied range of issues as well. But the areas that they specialise in, wowee. How's Gary with his research methods?
Oh, he's a wizard.
Like everybody in the university goes to see him, lecturers, professors, students, everybody goes and sees him about issues with research methods and doing data analysis and surveys and things along those lines because he's just a wizard.
Yeah.
So, that's really good. But we wanted to have a chat about resilience because they don't give those qualifications out just to anybody, do they?
No, they don't.
So, resilience is a very important ability for people to cope and recover from setbacks when setting goals. When you set goals, often you don't achieve those goals, do you? It just doesn't happen.
Yep.
So, there has to be some sort of form of resilience. When you break the word down and get a definition for it, the word resilience means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness, and two, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity. So that's of objects and material things. We're talking more along the lines of resilience as a human attribute to actually cope. There's another definition here. Resilience is the ability to cope with and recover from setbacks. People who remain calm in the face of disaster have resilience. A resilient person is someone who has strong coping skills and is able to marshal their available resources, ask for help when needed, and find ways to manage the situation they are facing.
That's very similar to, or from a scientific perspective here, A.M.E.N and colleagues says that fundamentally resilience refers to positive adaptation or the ability to maintain or regain mental health despite experiencing adversity.
Yes, and that's you've just described the human experience, mate. Really,
yeah.
Because every day in every way we're presented with challenges and adversity, and we don't really. We're not really trained in resilience. It's something you sort of pick up as you go along, isn't it?
No, we're not trained in resilience at all, and it's actually becoming less and less. People are becoming less and less resilient as we move forward, and probably as technology becomes more prevalent and the society becomes more affluent.
Yes, so I agree. Yes, I agree. And with the ease of things and the ready availability of things at the tip of a finger or the swipe of a screen. I think that is reducing resilience a little bit because we can distract ourselves from what we're focusing on quite easily, which therefore that has a impact on resilience, really.
Yeah, I've always thought to myself, like, I'm kind of glad I wasn't raised on technology because I feel like I would have missed out on a lot of important lessons and attributes that are crucial for walking the catastrophe of life. So that's just my opinion. I've always said to myself ever since I was a young age, I saw this when I was maybe probably younger, 14, 15, saw it online, ironically enough.
Yep.
and it was, I think Stephen Hawking said it. He said, intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. And that's coming from a resilient standpoint. And I've always remembered that throughout all of my adversity when I was growing up. Yep. And it's kind of kept me going a bit to embrace change, to embrace the changed environment and all that. So I've really kind of, it's been stuck in my brain without me even knowing it, what it meant.
Well, that's really good. And that advice coming from Stephen Hawkins, who was struck down with an MS type disease. They told him he wasn't going to live very long. I think it was 2 to 5 years. His life expectancy was, and he ended up living with that disease. I think in excess of 40 years or something.
Yeah.
But he was stricken to a wheelchair, and in the end couldn't even speak. He spoke through a electronic device like an iPad. So and he operated that iPad with his eye movements, but he actually went on to write significant research papers about the exploration of space and theories on black holes. So what the resilience shown by that man is exemplary. He's gone down in history as one of the forefront scientists of space exploration and space explanation.
Yeah, because when we were just talking about what we're going to speak about resilience and whatnot, that just popped in my head was the intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. I said, wow, that's incredible that I thought about that, and I picked it up online and when I was so young, without even realising it was about being resilient.
Yes, no, you couldn't put a word to it, but you were doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how we do that?
Yeah.
And we don't find the words to be able to articulate an action or an emotion until many, many years after we've been practicing or dealing with that emotion. And I think some people have a natural ability to do that, and some people struggle a little bit.
Yes.
That could be their environment, or it could be our environment, rather. I don't really know. I suppose that'd be a really good question to explore in a hypothesis research paper, don't you think?
Do you think we're catering to a lack of resilience as opposed to encouraging people to become more resilient?
Yeah, I certainly do, because here in the Western world we're creating an environment of, I'd say, for want of a better word, and this might be a bit harsh, but I think we do cotton wool our society a little bit too much.
I agree with that.
Now, there's a lot of philosophers out there, and there's a lot of spiritual people out there who says that's really bad for a society to do that, but that we need to endure some hardships and some adversity,
risk taking
to hone our ability to be resilient. And the more that the government step up to cotton wool us and to provide a safe environment for us.
I was just about to say a society obsessed with safety.
Right. And so that's not, they say, this is not my words, this is of specific philosophers. If you'd like to go and check that out and research that, I would suggest you do. I don't have the exact data here in front of me, but I have read it and heard it on a number of occasions that there is negative consequences to governments protecting us from ourselves.
Yep.
Really. And some might even say that the governments are protecting themselves from us because we live in a world of litigation today. And so there is that risk management factor as well. But some of the laws we have in Australia, you would never find in other parts of the world.
Yep.
Never. For want of a better example, for better or for worse, when you were in Thailand last year, how was the helmet laws over there with motorbikes, mate?
There was absolutely none.
Yeah, I think in Bangkok, the main city, you have to wear helmets.
Yep.
But outside of the parameters of the city limits of Bangkok, it's not negotiable.
It's just it's optional, whatever you want.
Now there would be natural consequences to that, people not wearing helmets, but also that society has adapted to that norm. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm certainly not saying everybody go and buy a motorbike and don't wear a helmet. That's not what I'm saying, because our culture is designed a little bit differently, and our transport mechanism here is a whole world different to what's going on in Thailand. What I'm saying is that the people in Thailand have to take a bit more care with themselves and become a bit more resilient to be able to survive that flexibility and that regulation.
Yeah, we're just weighing up the different laws that
Yeah, that's
our countries have as well.
And the
It's
differences.
fascinating.
Yes,
that's why I encourage people, get overseas and have a look at
Look
how
around.
we're living.
Yeah, well,
and
exactly.
Have a look at how other people are living.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's some of the other things they do in Thailand with motorbikes is they wear their safety thongs, and they wear their safety t-shirts and their safety shorts, don't they?
Yep.
Because the weather allows for you to ride around. It's 35, 38 degrees. Well, you certainly wouldn't be doing that here in Victoria for 9 months of the year because it's like 10 degrees. You'd be freezing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just a comparison anyway. So put your helmet on. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Resilience, yes. And it was the ability of people to cope with adversity. There's all sorts of different types of resilience, and there's also signs of resilience, whether you are resilient. One of the signs is if you're a survivor of have a survivor mentality, where in the face of adversity, you can actually put a positive spin on it and actually come up and manifest actions to counteract the adversary.
Yes.
There's effective emotional regulation, which is resilience is marked by the ability to manage emotions in the face of stress. Now, I did my first aid brush-up course the other day just to brush up on my CPR, as I do as a requirement of being a first aid certificate holder. Every 12 months you have to go and do a refresh course on CPR. And they were saying about how some people operate really well in the face of a crisis situation, and some people can't. And he was saying, that's okay, that's not a problem. And it was really interesting because we were having a bit of a discussion about paramedics. Now, paramedics are, they walk into situations where you can't fathom. Like, I can't even begin to think of some of the situations a paramedic would have to walk into, right? Along lines of car accidents, things along those lines. And they just walk in with calm, nonchalant, business-like attitudes, and apply their professionalism right across the board in the face of anything. I think they're absolutely amazing people, absolutely amazing, and thank God they're out there. But for the average person to do that, I think that would take a considerable amount of self-discipline, certainly education, because you'd want to know what you're doing when you're walking into a crisis situation. And I think it would also take a bit of practice. It'd be interesting to get a paramedic in and have a bit of a chat.
I reckon there should be. I think there is a resilience thing, that resilience training. I think they would have to go through, and most of them would probably be required to. I could be completely wrong about this, but they'd probably have to go sit with someone every now and again after seeing such horrific scenes.
I think it is recommended they get debriefed. Yeah. Yes, I don't know what the extent of that debriefing would be. But I'm pretty sure they do. And I know I worked once upon a time with a fellow who had just finished, I think it was a 8 or a 12-year career as a psychologist who serviced the Victorian Police Force. Now, that's, again, police are first responders, so they're turning up to the situations where paramedics are required. So they have to control the situation whilst the paramedics get there. So those guys out there, they have to get used to some serious situations as well. Shout out to our boys in blue. Thank you very much for being out there. Of course, they'd have to be debriefed as well. Some of those situations, of harm, destruction, and misery can take a toll on you after many, many years. Yeah. Years and years ago, I'm led to believe there was very little debriefing. You just picked up your... got cleaned up, do your paperwork, and get back on shift. That was your debriefing. But nowadays, I think it's taken a little bit more seriously with the more diagnosis of post-traumatic stress syndrome, and the dynamics and the detriment of that on a person's life has now been identified and worked with, which is great, right? Yeah, we get to move forward with that. Some other aspects of resilience is feeling in control. Resilient people tend to have a strong internal locus of control and feel that their actions can play a part in determining the outcome of events. So that's about taking control in a situation, difficult situation may it be, or situations that could even come down to minor things like making decisions on, I don't know, what are you going to have for tea tonight? that's an extreme case. But I mean, in terms of safety and risk management and things along those lines, you know, I'm watching children when they go close to, you know, the road, you make sure they don't cross the road and things along those lines. You know, those sort of duty of care aspects, I think, is what they're referring to there. It's about just making firm decisions in the face of adversity, really, and avoiding disaster. You know, making those decisions to avoid disaster. That's what parents do all the time, anyway, don't they?
Well, that's right.
Yeah. Right. So you know, if you got your child, young daughter, or your young son, and you know they're 4 or 5 years old, and they think it's a really good idea to push a chair up to the bench and then walk up and down the bench and through all the cutlery, plates, and glasses. You know, that's where you sort of, as a parent, you want to avert disaster. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to signs of resilience, do you think it would start with a reframing of your mind?
Oh, absolutely. Well,
First
it's all
and foremost.
I dare say, look, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think you'd have to. It's all a learning process. As we move through life, we have more and more experiences, and with those experiences comes along decisions to be made, ethical decisions, moral decisions, all sorts of decisions, right? To navigate your way through life. Not all those decisions you make are going to be right? Every decision you make is going to have a consequence associated to it, right? Be it good or bad. Now, you might think if I make one decision A, there's one consequence, and if I make decision B, there's another consequence, right? And so, therefore, you decide to make decision A because you think that the consequence to that decision is a better consequence than the consequence associated to decision B, right? Now, you make decision A, find out that you assess that wrong, and you get a negative consequence to that, right?
Yeah.
Some people might call it a kick up the bum.
And if you
right?
don't make a decision, there's also a consequence.
That's correct. And if you take the B consequence, there's also a consequence to that. But I think resilience is about taking on those consequences, and with that, you build a bank of experience to go forward. So when you're presented with that situation again, the A or the B decision, it's a very similar situation. You know what to do now. You know, okay, I'll take action A or decision A on the condition of, right, which gives you the consequence you're looking for, not the negative consequence. Does that make sense, or is that getting a bit complex?
No, it makes sense, because I always thought of it like if your environment changed, the first thing you want to do is tackle your immediate response in your head, like your mind. It's like looking at it from a different perspective to accept it. So it'll help you cope. If
yes,
you
absolutely.
Change your perspective and your individual perception.
Well, that's I think what what we're both talking about is learning.
Yeah.
Right? In your evolutionary development, you're learning every single day, every single moment of the day. And if you can put a lot of those lessons and the actions or the consequences to your decisions, and you can accumulate a working knowledge in your long-term memory about that only adds to your ability to be a better decision maker.
Yeah.
Which ultimately promotes and builds resilience. Would that be right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
So, anyway, we're getting a bit deep and meaningful there, but basically that's right, do you think?
Yeah. I think so.
About consequences. Now, resilience also is about problem solving, having problem solving skills. When problems arise, resilient people look at situations rationally. They try to come up with a solution that will make a difference, of course. But there's lots of things that plays into that, isn't there? There's a risk. Ethics is a big one. We did ethics, didn't we?
Yeah, we did heaps of ethics.
That was really interesting subject, wasn't it? We did have to do a fair bit. And one of the ethics classes we took as an elective. We didn't have to do it and decided to do it, which that was quite interesting. Remember the lectures they showed us on from Harvard? I forget that fella's name. What was his name? And he lectured. We had to watch 8 lectures on Harvard.
I'm not sure. He spoke about E.M.E.N, though.
He certainly did. And he also spoke about, was it Scandinavia, where they did the analysis into smoking cigarettes?
I can't remember. I think it was Immanuel Kant. Yeah.
Kant. That's right.
Yeah.
He's one of the pioneers and forefounders of the philosophy behind ethics, right? That was ontological ethics, and that was what was Ollie going to get in trouble now? The ontological, and what was the other one?
Deontological.
That's correct.
And is it utilitarian?
Utilitarian.
Yeah.
Thank you. There was ontological, deontological, and utilitarian form of ethics.
Yes, and that was by Michael Sandel.
That's right. He was amazing.
Of Harvard.
Yes.
And he spoke about Immanuel Kant.
He was fantastic. Those was it 8 or 6 or 8 episodes of him talking fascinating stuff in relation to how we work through ethical decision-making processes, both as individuals and as professionals. Very important. But it's a pretty deep concept to get a grasp of, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, and resilience, as people with resilience always also show self-compassion. Another sign of resilience is showing self-acceptance and self-compassion. Resilient people treat themselves with kindness, especially when things are hard. Now, I say that all the time. Look after yourself like you have been chartered to look after a child.
Yeah.
Right? Some other people say that as well. But, I mean, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner, right, in most circumstances and put other people first. But realistically, we should be looking after ourselves as well.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's probably the first thing. They teach that in first aid and all that. It's like, look after yourself first.
Well, that was the first thing. They have a acronym, which in first aid that you have to stick to. It's called Doctors ABC.
That's right.
And the D stands for danger first. And you got to assess the situation to make sure that you're not in danger. So you might present up to a situation, be it, I don't know, electrocution or some first aid issue, and it's no good you walking in the situation because then you won't only have the one casualty on the floor or the 6 casualty on the floor, you'll have another casualty, you.
Yeah.
And how can you help anybody if you're a casualty too?
Yeah.
So yes, first and foremostly, you have to look after yourself. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that's a really good practice.
Yep.
Right? We should be kinder to ourselves, and we're not.
No, we're not.
Where, I know we can readily get stuck into ourselves and have negative self-talk to ourselves, and that's hugely detrimental to our self-esteem and well-being. So, that's something to think about moving forward, most definitely. Another aspect of resilience is social support. Having a solid network of supporting people is another sign of resilience. Resilient people recognise the importance of support and knowing when they need to ask for help. Well,
yeah, because I think a sign of resilience in life, according to Neenan and Bonywell, said that ongoing active engagement in trusted social networks was a resilient sign.
Yep.
Apparently. And it was, just social support from trusted friends, colleagues and family members can leave us feeling less isolated and help us to adopt better perspective regarding what is happening.
Oh, I agree. And the other thing I'd like to say to add to that is none of us can be successful in isolation. We are social beings. We need others. We need community.
We definitely do.
We certainly do. Isolation is not a positive thing. If you're suffering the elements of, say, anxiety, depression, isolation is not the answer.
Yeah.
For men, sometimes isolation can work positively. Like if, I think we've spoken about this before, I don't know, someone's bashed a shopping trolley into the Falcon's door.
Yep.
Right? And the wife's brought the car home and said, look at this, the car's damaged, oh no. And, you get a bit upset about that because you've just bought the thing. I get that, right? So on those occasions, men might have to go in the shed and hit some nails into a bit of wood or and make something or walk around and snort and whinge and that's a positive thing.
Yeah,
because what they're actually doing, they're actually processing that cognitively, processing that emotion cognitively.
Yeah,
putting words to it in a positive, healthy manner. That sort of isolation is fine. But if you're isolating on a long-term basis and you're using that as a remedy to deal with depression, deep depression, it's not good. You need to speak to someone. You need to get that out. You need to get that emotion out, and the way you do that is by articulating it. I think I've said before, for fear of repeating myself, that I advocate that people actually speak to themselves.
Yeah, I remember speaking about this. Yeah, what was the term for it again?
Soliloquizing.
Oh, yeah, I thought I had it, but it definitely was not that word.
Just speaking to yourself, because what happens is you have an emotion, and it may not be an emotion that you like, so you actually articulate it. You say the words that are associated with it, well, that, me, or whatever, right? But you actually get that out. And when you have a little bit of a conversation around that emotion as well, you get those words out. Those words start to come out in your language, and you articulate them. When you articulate them, you actually are forming processes in your brain to get your language and larynx to move in a fashion to formulate the words, which takes the tension out of the emotion.
That's fascinating.
It's true.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because maybe there is research on this, but would talking to yourself build your resilience?
Yes.
That's an interesting hypothesis.
Well, what happens is you've got an emotion. Your emotion fires up sensations in your body, usually underpinned by fight and flight emotions.
Yep.
And what happens is the brain then gets flooded with chemicals, and they're not reward chemicals; they're more fear chemicals. And so what happens is the brain then goes into a fight and flight mode. It usually it pulls all the blood out of the body to the extremities, so you can run, fight or flight. Right, and it picks up the heartbeat, sharpens the vision.
There's parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And your attention heightens, but your ability to access short-term memory and long-term memory is hindered. That's why when you get into a very frightful situation of fight and flight, people black out. Right, they don't remember what happened because the brain isn't there available for that cognitive processing network to happen. It's sharpening your vision and getting your body ready for fight and flight.
Yeah, they've studied that actually in eyewitness testimonies.
Yes, correct.
That's a perfect example of what you're talking about.
And people who are susceptible to the inability to control their emotions, and actually lash out in violent manners and get into things like fights in public and things along those lines, they blank out.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know what's going to happen. All they know is they got really, really angry, and next minute they've got bruises all over them, or someone else has bruises all over them. So anyway, that's what sort of happens. Anyway, when you're speaking about emotions and you actually your brain is operating your larynx, as we spoke about, to verbalize the words, and the words leave your mouth. Your brain has to process. There's the cognitive process to doing that action, right? So you actually have to process what's going on for you emotionally to get the words out. Once the words leave your lips, right, the vibrations associated to those words go around and enter your ear. I know it's a bit of a long story, but I think some people might get something out of it. The words then enter your ear, and they go back into your brain cognitively through your eardrums. So that's a different part of the brain that has to process that emotion. And then that part of the process actually restacks that emotion and those words back into your brain in a different fashion. So it actually breaks down the intensity of the emotion. See how that works?
Yeah.
The emotion starts in your chest. It comes out via your words. It goes round back in through, and you hear it, and you restack it. And even if you repeat that a couple of times, the process is actually starting to calm yourself down, particularly if you associate that with deep breaths in a really difficult, high crisis situation.
And I guess you could kind of perfect it to a point where you just internalize it. You just think about it instead of verbalizing it. Would that make sense? Like, because sometimes I think about, I question myself from a third person perspective. Why are you feeling that way? Instead of verbalizing it.
Yep.
But I think verbalizing would have a different effect.
Correct. And it depends on the intensity of the of the situation.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense. Right? Yeah. Yep.
If you jam your finger in a door, you go, right? But if it's a really serious consequence to whatever's happened, right? Really serious. Relationship breakdown, lose your job, something, I don't know, could be anything, right? I think that's a whole different kettle of fish. But it certainly depends on the level of intensity of the crisis.
Yeah.
Would you think?
Yeah, definitely.
But I always advocate that people soliloquize, talk to themselves, and I said years ago that was the wives' tale was the first sign of madness was you talking to yourself.
Yeah.
I disagree.
And I think that could all play into a role over increasing your sense of meaning and control when you're taking on new challenges and overcoming adversity would be that emotion breakdown.
Yes.
That reshaping of perspective.
Yes.
And all play into it. Yeah. No, it's really good, Dad. Very good.
Yeah, that's how it works. We got other forms of resilience as well. We've got physical resilience, which sort of speaks for itself, you know. And this refers to how the body deals with change and recovers from physical demands, be it illness and or injury. Research suggests that types of resilience plays an important role in health. It affects how people age, as well as how they respond and recover from physical stress and medical issues. You know, and I think it's becoming pretty obvious how people carry stress on their body and themselves.
Yeah, it takes a physical consequence, doesn't it?
And it's most dangerous. You know, I know there's lots and lots of data out there, of which I don't have in front of me, but that state that stress, it can be really bad for you. It's like it has a really negative consequence for you physically, yeah?
Yeah, of course. You can see it in people.
Yes, and I think as you age, that becomes more prevalent, yeah?
Yeah, because you're also... when you age, you're also not, I wouldn't say you're not prioritizing health. I'd just say that like your body doesn't perform the way it did when you're 30.
Yeah, and I think there's stress accumulates in the body over age.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think we can fare very well for concentrating on reducing stress in our lives.
Oh, yeah. One would be through sleep.
Yeah, well, I think there's a number of a bit of regular exercise, even if that's walking around the block. They say the best thing you can possibly do for your health is to walk for 20 minutes a day, even if that's 4 laps of the block, right? 20 minutes a day of brisk, it doesn't have to be brisk walking, just go for a walk, right? It says it's the best thing for your blood pressure, it's the best thing for your fitness, health, all-around immunisation, your immunity gets better, everything gets better with a 20-minute walk a day.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes that's hard. If you do it 4 times a week, it's got to be better than none. Good diet.
Yeah, diet's massive.
I think that's really really big. You know, we have lots of sugar in our diet. We have lots of bad fats in our diet through stuff being deep fried and things along those lines. And maybe a little bit of reduction in that caffeine, alcohol.
Yeah.
You know,
and like it may not even impact resilience directly; it'll impact it indirectly.
Yes, correct.
Through other means.
Yes, correct.
Outlook on life.
Yes, absolutely.
Physical activity.
Yes,
mindset, and like everything plays a part. And it's like this big tree, and the roots or the branches all link up to different things to all help resilience or other parts. It's we're a complex being, aren't we, Father?
We are very complex. We are complex. We have mental resilience, which refers to a person's ability to adapt to change and uncertainty. People who possess this type of resilience are flexible and calm during times of crisis. They use mental strength to solve problems, move forward, and remain hopeful even when they're faced with setbacks. That's pretty good, that mental resilience, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're hopeful, you know, we've got to have hope. We are hopeful beings, aren't we? You know,
some of us are.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, good point.
Optimism, I would say, is a sign of resilience.
Optimism,
definitely.
I think you might be right.
Regarding the future,
yes.
So yeah, I think optimism plays a big part in resilience.
And so conversely, would you think that cynicism has a negative consequence on stress and resilience?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
why wouldn't it?
Can you have optimistic cynicism? Or are they mutually exclusive?
I'm going to have to hear a very good example.
Sorry, I was just throwing a curveball in, mate. See what you said. Anyway, some might say it's mutually exclusive. Some might say, oh, no, there is room on the spectrum of optimism to cynicism to cater for optimistic cynicism. Anyway, we're carrying on a bit now.
No, but I think, and we want to do a course on resilience building, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we're going to build a course to teach people how to be resilient.
Yes, because people are a lot more resilient than they believe themselves to be.
Yeah, like you are tough. Like if you're listening out there, you are way tougher than what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people just don't believe that.
Yes.
But I mean that. Like people,
yes.
Like humans are freaking tough.
They are.
And you can bear a lot more than what you think.
And lots and lots and lots of studies have been done on survivors of disasters, like ships sinking and people floating around in the sea for like a month at a time. You know, how those people survive. You know, they got a bucket of water and they survive those things, being stuck underground, cave diving and things along that. We've lost a lot of people doing, you know, these activities, but a lot of people have had the resilience to survive those situations.
And also, like, speaking about being tough, adding to that was, like, parents have lifted cars off their children. You know, not massive cars, obviously.
No, but I mean,
there's this strength out of nowhere that's like, crap, my child needs to be saved. And then all this strength and, you know, amazing things that people can do because humans are freaking tough.
Yes, we are. We are. So we do want to have some courses on that so people can pick up some of the fundamentals of resistance and how to apply it. Because I think if you start to actively think and speak to these attributes, you'll have them readily on hand for you to utilise at home and in your workplace.
Do you have any interventions?
Interventions?
Yep.
Could you define interventions for me?
Just like
causes?
Interventions for resilience, you know, like calming ones was mindfulness, deep breathing, relaxed activities.
Yes, they all work.
Positive psychology interventions. Yeah, all that stuff that I've got some listed here if you want to run through some of them.
Yeah, go on.
Fascinatingly enough, one says here, optimizing interventions. So overcome a lack of confidence.
Yep.
Overcome low and negative self-esteem.
Yep.
That's really interesting. We're just talking about optimism.
Well, you can. You know, there's aspects and ways to be able to overcome those attributes. There really, truly is, and it's a piece of art in the making. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to take small steps towards building your confidence. You got to take small steps towards building your resilience. But you certainly can do that. And once you start taking those steps in that direction, if that's where you want to go, the sky's the limit, mate.
Yeah.
You can achieve anything. Yeah, we proved that yesterday.
Yeah, and overcome a lack of confidence. If you're facing something new or if something's changed and you're not that much of a fan of it, overcome that lack of confidence.
That's right.
Commit to the task. Feel like you're in control.
Yes.
And challenge yourself.
Yep. It's not going to fall down.
It's not going to be forever.
That's correct. Because you will achieve that goal, cross that milestone, and then be looking for other new goals to pursue.
Yeah,
it's not until we actually start to pursue something that we actually to discover our real purpose and what we enjoy and what gives us worth.
Yep, 100%. And you can also grow confidence by focusing on past successes.
Yes,
absolutely. Recognizing your strengths.
Well, that's what goes into your bank of confidence.
Yep.
Right, and some of the things I've been saying to people recently, I said it to your brother just the other day, find something that's hard to do and just do it.
Yep.
Even if that is picking up a rock and taking it from the front yard to the backyard, at least you've done something hard. When you do something hard, you've all of a sudden find out that you can achieve things. You can do something that's hard and you'll find that you're very happy about that once it's done.
And you build the confidence to do something harder.
That's correct. And at the end of the day, you graduate like we did yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a bit chuffed about that yesterday.
Yeah,
it's still on my mind. It was a good day. Anyway, we'll move right along. Sorry, everyone out there. Is there anything else you wanted to say about resilience, mate?
I think that's about it. You know, like we did touch on our generation becoming less resilient, and do you think part of that is just quickly potentially overprotective parents?
What's that, mate?
Lack of resilience and parents not teaching their kids resilience because the parents are setting the road for the kid and not the kid for the road.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I do. I do that. I do feel that plays a bit of a role. And it is suggested by psychologists that you allowed your child to step out into the world as much as they can possibly bear on their own. When they can't bear it is when you should be stepping in and supporting, not providing or taking over, supporting the child, standing them back up on their own 2 feet and sending them back out into the world again. This is the only way the child will be able to learn how to navigate their rigours and the idiosyncrasies and the difficulties and challenges the world presents.
Yes.
right?
That's fantastic.
So when we do nurture our children, keep them too close and do everything for them, particularly in our society, because Australia is a very affluent country, I think we ultimately it has a negative effect on children. And yes, ultimately, I dare say it would reduce their levels of resilience, which plays into other things that situations that aren't really that bad are perceived as being monumental. And so therefore every challenge that is presented by that person who is low in resilience is an obstacle that cannot be gotten over.
Yeah.
So if you're walking through life that you only get presented with obstacles that cannot be gotten over or cannot be negotiated or navigated, that's a pretty grim place to live in, mate.
Yep.
Right? You know, and how can we expect people, particularly young men and women, to find their purpose and to build their resilience and to set goals to reach their highest potential? I think it's a pretty big ask, really.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with that. Yeah, I just want to touch on that real quick. So something I've been just
that was a really good point, mate.
But yeah,
that was a really, really good point.
We live in interesting times.
We certainly do. Just finishing up here, I've got a little bit of a note here. Resilience is what gives people a psychological strength to cope with stress and hardship. It is the mental reservoir of strength that people are able to call on in times of need to carry them through without falling apart. Psychologists believe that resilient individuals are better able to handle adversity and rebuild their lives after a struggle.
Yep.
See, I think it's a really good skill to pick up, and I think it's a really good topic to speak to.
Pick up and teach your children from a young age.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if you're struggling with the resilience too, mums and dads and grandpas and grandmas, might be a good idea to open that up as a bit of discussion around the dinner table and start putting some words into play and that conversation into your family so you can open it up and for something to build on and move forward with. What do you reckon, mate?
Oh, fantastic. Great topic.
All right, no worries. Listen, mate, great to have you back.
Thank
did
you.
Miss you, know. Well, don't tell anybody that, will you? Hey?
It's good to be back, and thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, no worries. You can find us on aimedmotivation.com or you can find us on Facebook. Reach out. Give us a yell. Say g'day. What's your ideas of resilience? What do you think would be a good skill to build resilience, and where do you think people are lacking resilience? Give us a yell. Reach out. Happy to answer your questions. You take care. Look forward to speaking to you again at the earliest opportunity. And we're out. Take care, mate. You look after yourself.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.